Thus far in the course, we have looked at the theory behind Modbus, and we have used ModScan32 and ModSim32 simulators to look at the actual query response cycles for various types of Modbus commands. But now we're going to take it up a notch, another notch. In this section, we are going to configure an actual piece of equipment for Modbus TCP/IP communication. And then we are going to establish a Modbus TCP/IP connection to it from a laptop. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of Modbus TCP/IP compliant devices, and they do differ in the way that they are configured for Modbus TCP/IP, but there are certain common steps that must be taken to configure any device for Modbus TCP/IP. Once you know these common steps, you'll be able to configure most any device for this type of Modbus communication. The device that we are going to use is a programmable logic controller. Specifically, it is a Direct Logic 05 PLC from a company called Automation Direct. It is a very basic PLC, and I chose it for its simplicity. Another great thing about this PLC is its cost. I bought this PLC for US $99, which is an absolute steal when it comes to the prices of PLCs. So after you watch this and you feel inclined to do it, you can purchase one of these from the Automation Direct website and try out all that is shown in this section for yourself. So this here is what the PLC looks like. And you can see some terminals here, power as well as I/O connections. Here are the indicator lights. This particular PLC only has discrete inputs X0 to X7 and discrete outputs Y0 to Y5. And there are some indicator lights on the side here: CPU, run, transmit, receive. There are two communication ports, RS232. This switch here toggles the mode, stop, run, terminal, and that sort of thing. So very, very simple device. And we will see exactly how to use it. The PLC that I have, this actually has a slot to put in various types of modules. And the one that I'm going to show you will have what you call an Ethernet module that supports Modbus TCP/IP in it. This PLC natively does not support Modbus TCP/IP. It needs that add-in module. Okay, so let's get down to those common steps that I spoke about earlier. So I want to configure this PLC for Modbus TCP/IP communication. What are the steps? Well, there are just two steps. Step one is to locate the appropriate communications port and configure it for the Modbus protocol, or the Modbus TCP/IP protocol in this case. And the appropriate communications port is going to be our Ethernet communications port that we will see a little later on. We will need two things to do this. First, we need to get the device documentation, and we also need to get the device configuration software. So the documentation obviously is going to tell us how to configure that port, what to use, and so on. And the configuration software, we will need that as well to physically configure the port. All right. We will be using something called NetEdit 3, which is from Automation Direct, to do that configuration, and we'll see that later on. Okay, so the second step is to get the Modbus memory map for the device. And this is very, very important. We need to know what registers, Modbus registers, are mapped to what I/O points. And I'll show you exactly what I mean a little further on. Once again, this is in the device documentation. All right. So the device documentation is very, very important. PLC manufacturers and automation manufacturers don't have one single standard for doing configuration. There's always some different ways, some caveats, some exception. So it differs from device to device. However, these two steps tend to remain common from device to device as well. Okay.